Hello, world. Welcome to the Shannon Joy Show. Hello, world, and welcome to the Shannon Joy Show. We're broadcasting live from the Joy Virtual Studio right here in the beautiful Finger Lakes region of New York State. It is so great to be with all of you today as we launch yet another very busy broadcast week. It is Monday, January 19th, and yes, it is cold here in the beautiful Finger Lakes region of New York State. Like I like to say to my kids all the time, it's colder than a witch's tit out here in Rochester, New York, below zero wind chill for multiple days. I hope you're all staying warm. I'm going to be ready for some warm weather temperatures in February. We're going to travel down to see my sister in Florida, and I cannot wait for that. This is the time in the Northeast, in upstate New York, Western New York, where we hunker down and you just stay inside because it is so darn cold out there. It's great to see all of you on the live chat. We have CM 1968 with us today, very first chatter right here on Rumble. It's great to see you, CM, and all of the chatters on Rumble, of course. We're broadcasting live on Rumble. We're live on Twitter, Spreely TV, Roku TV, Apple TV, Substack, Facebook, YouTube, you name it. We are there. A big thank you to the beautiful, amazing Inez Annie Cyrus, who is producing the Shannon Joy Show today. We do have a lot to get to. You see the headline today, Trump's Bunker-Ballroom. Is it really a ballroom? A phenomenal Substack from the Dre dossier that I mentioned last week on the Shannon Joy Show, a deep dive into what is really going down under on the White House. More and more evidence coming out that there's no way that this is a ballroom. There might be some kind of ballroom sitting on top of whatever it is they're doing down below. But this piece by Dre over at the Dre dossier is probably the best sourced and most informative piece, complete with all of the links and the source materials that she used. We're going to go through this with a fine-tooth comb because it is going to matter to all of you. What are they building and what are they deploying against the citizens of the United States of America? As we ramp down the action in the Middle East, it seems as though the neocons, Donald Trump, and the war hawks are ramping up in our own hemisphere with actions in Venezuela, potential actions in Canada and Greenland, and actions within our own country. The war machine that has been deployed across the globe for so many decades, it appears is now being deployed against us. And one does get the sense that our government just might be waging war against its own citizens as the Trump administration seeks to consolidate and project power globally, right? They're heading out to Switzerland, Davos, Switzerland this week for the annual meeting of the World Economic Forum. This is the entity that was behind so much of the horror show that was the lockdowns of 2020, the global lockdowns of 2020, a pretty nasty organization. They are set on global domination and a new world order. This is something that most on the conservative right is opposed to. They thought that bringing Donald Trump into power, the presidency of the United States of America, would be a step in the right direction against a new world order. But it looks as if Trump and his team are falling right in line with the largest U.S. delegation ever flying in to Davos this week. So as they attempt to consolidate and project power globally, they are systematically destabilizing the United States of America. And that's part of our discussion today. A very good piece also from Michael O'Fallon. He's had some good stuff over the years. He is a commentator. His organization is Sovereign Nations. And he tends to get it on the Hegelian dialectic, the false choices, the left right dialectic that is a false dialectic. We know that they are working together, but he understands the woke right and the woke left. And a very important piece, he pushed this out last week on ideological subversion. This is happening through the platforming and promoting of what I termed many years ago bizarro con, new superstars in conservative media who were quasi-conservative but not really, and also vile degenerates. Everything from people like Nick Fuentes to the Tate brothers to Brendan Dilley and the Dilley Mean Team. You also have people like Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson, who I think are also engaged in normalizing and platforming some of the most degenerate, vile bastardizations of what it means to be a conservative, a Christian, or even America First. And so it's very evident that this is an operation, a well-funded platforming operation happening on social media platforms like Twitter and even here on Rumble. But we know that there is a ton of money being poured into the promotion of these degenerates. And just over the weekend, you couldn't miss it. I mean, the gates of hell seem to open up over Miami as the Tate brothers and Nick Fuentes and Kanye West and a whole host of the woke right, you know, influencers. They're claiming that they are influencing a new young generation of anti-woke, anti-leftist men. They all come together. This is about 7 minutes of this, a nightclub in Miami, as they are all awkwardly standing around, drinking, vaping, likely doing drugs, surrounded by a posse of women, and singing along to Hail Hitler, which is apparently the new anthem of the new right. Now, half of the people in that video have been platformed by Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson and even people like Megyn Kelly, and normalized in a sense as legitimate influencers of a new up and coming young right-wing audience. Apparently, they're replacing what Charlie Kirk had done over at TPUSA, which at least on its face was about something virtuous and aspiring towards some kind of virtue. This is the complete opposite. It is absolute moral degeneracy. That was a 7-minute video, but there were hours of video that were released over the weekend, obviously in a campaign, okay, heavily platformed on Twitter. These guys think that they're, I guess, cool. They are not. They're lame, absolute betas. And I can assure you that normal, well-adjusted young men, like my son, who's 19, they don't think that these asshats are cool. Okay, like nothing about these guys. I mean, they're sitting around. It's outrageous, but it is designed to serve a purpose, and I believe that is ideological subversion. And so we're going to look at this essay by Michael O'Fallon that I think is going to set up our discussion today and discussions in the future about the war that is being waged on the American people, tragically by our own government. At this point, Trump is at the helm, but make no mistake, if there is a left-wing leader or a Democrat who gets elected into the office of the presidency, he or she will wield the apparatus that is being built by the Trump administration to attack many of us on the right and further expand the power and the degeneracy and the illegitimacy of our own government against the people. It is as if we are experiencing a color revolution on our own soil here in the US. And they're throwing everything but the kitchen sink at us. Economic turmoil, inflation as far as the eye can see, terrible numbers in terms of jobs and labor, a crumbling economy and infrastructure, and a tearing apart of the fabric of this nation systematically in places like Minnesota, and they're seeking to expand that. Another headline today listed in the show notes here for the SJ show, the Insurrection Act. For the first time in the 21st century, Donald Trump, as he prepares to head over to Davos, is threatening to invoke the Insurrection Act. This is from an article in Axios. The Pentagon is preparing troops as Trump considers Minnesota deployment. And they have placed about 1,500 active duty soldiers from the 11th Airborne Division in Alaska on standby, prepared to deploy status for a possible deployment into Minnesota. This comes as President Trump is reportedly considering invoking the Insurrection Act, a rare 1807 law allowing the president to deploy federal troops domestically without state consent for the very first time in the 21st century. This is outrageous. There are other developments here. This is from an article I linked in Axios. We will begin to talk about this today. All of these things happening or being prepared for this week. And we have a big week of guests coming up as well. Tomorrow, we will welcome Patrick Wood. He is the founder and editor of technocracy.info. That is a phenomenal site detailing the technocratic elite and the technocratic takeover of not only our country, but many countries globally. Patrick is going to have a lot to say about all of these topics, and we are thrilled to talk to him tomorrow. Wednesday, we have Tom Renz live in the Joy virtual studio for the first time. I have been beginning to get to know Tom Renz. He has been a source for the Shannon Joy Show ever since the lockdowns of 2020 and has been a voice of reason. He has been one of the very few voices out there from the medical freedom community who has been willing to critique and criticize this administration, the Republicans, and Donald Trump. And that earns him clearly a spot on the SJ show. He's going to have a lot to say about what is happening, not only in terms of medical freedom. He has a broad understanding of geopolitics in general and the way that the world works. So we're going to be welcoming him into the Joy Virtual Studio on Wednesday this week. I'm also talking to Leslie Manookian. As you know, we address the bad stuff that is happening in this country. We address the actions of both the left and the right who seek to destroy the fabric of this nation and rip away our God-given natural rights, our constitutional rights, and our way of life. And we have to call that out and address it. But we are also very focused here on the show, as you all know, about resisting. What is it that we can do from the bottom up? And Leslie Manookian is incredibly effective. She has helped to pass some of the best bottom-up state-led bills that are protecting medical freedom and individual sovereignty, and she is not stopping. We're going to be welcoming her either late this week or early next week. Derek Brose is also heading up an operation to reset for the people. So a bottom-up reset as they try to collapse the world down upon us and usher us into a fascistic, technocratic new world order in the 21st century. We have so many opportunities to refuse to comply, to resist their actions, to build up infrastructures from the bottom up local level, to establish our individual sovereignty, our local sovereignty, and our state sovereignty up and against those who seek to take it from us and seek to take our God-given natural rights and our human dignity. There is so much that we can do. And I'm thrilled to see what Derek Brose is doing over on his platforms. We welcomed Derek Brose into the Joy Virtual Studio last week. I want to encourage you guys to go back and check out all of last week's interviews. These are the smartest, the most critical and intelligent sources that you will find in a sea of disinformation, misinformation, propaganda, and ideological subversion. There are voices of truth out there, and I want to help you find them. I don't want the Shannon Joy Show to be your one source for what is really going on in the world. I want you to have a rich roster of sources in all different areas of expertise, whether it's economic, financial, medical, whether it's geopolitics. We bring the best and the brightest here on the Shannon Joy Show, a stellar list of interviews that we just had in the past couple weeks. So I want to encourage you guys to go back and please like them, share them, post them out. Follow me on my social media platforms like Twitter and especially Substack. For those of you who are watching live on Substack today, We are having exponential growth over at Substack. I'm absolutely thrilled about that. And I want to thank those of you who have come on as subscribers and also paid subscribers. We're up from 5 to 9 in just 2 weeks, which I'm just so excited about, and posting out a lot of great content, the full show, short clips on my Substack page, and also some other stuff as well. So thank you to all of you, and thanks to Annie Cyrus, who gave me a critical course, right, on how to use and build on Substack. Annie, you are amazing, and I appreciate you for showing me how to do it, and it's going really well. So we have a lot coming up this week and next week. I want to say hi to all of you in just a moment, but first I want to give a shout out to the folks over at Rumble and a new feature that they have that's called Rumble Wallet. Okay, as you guys know, Rumble has been an amazing partner to the Shannon Joy Show. They have, over any other platform that I use, the team over at Rumble has been the most helpful and just absolutely wonderful to work with. They do believe in free speech. They believe in freedom in general, and they also believe in free markets and sovereignty when it comes to your money. And this is why they're rolling out Rumble Wallet. Now, I downloaded Rumble Wallet last week to my phone, and there are a lot of cool features. Now, one of the things that you can do with Rumble Wallet is send crypto or Bitcoin. And I don't have any Bitcoin, as you all know. So if you would like to tip the Shannon Joy Show or support what we're doing, feel free. You can send Bitcoin through Rumble Wallet, but it has a lot of other features as well. You guys know that your accounts can be canceled. Our accounts can be canceled. Tons of examples of that in the dark days of the Biden administration against people who were advocating for medical freedom. They can cancel your bank accounts. They can freeze your credit cards. They can decide what you're allowed to say or who you're allowed to support. Big banks and financial institutions have total control, and you guys know that they use it on a regular basis. This is why financial independence matters now more than ever, and this is why Rumble is introducing Rumble Wallet. This is a wallet built for freedom, and with Rumble Wallet, you control your money, not a bank, not a government, and not a tech company. So you can buy digital assets like Tether, Tether Gold, and Bitcoin in one secure place. No permissions, no middlemen, no cancel buttons. And when you want to support a creator like the Shannon Joy Show that you actually believe in, you can use Rumble Wallet to directly tip content creators securely, instantly, and without interference. So this isn't a credit line that they can shut stuff off. They can shut stuff off. This is your wallet. You own it, and it's permanent. It's yours to protect your future and your family. And when the system fails, when institutions turn on their own people, which we'll be talking about today, financial sovereignty is the difference between security and vulnerability. So Rumble Wallet is not about politics. It's about freedom, ownership, and protecting what is yours. So take control today. Download Rumble Wallet now and step away from the big banks for good. It's true ownership, true protection, and true financial freedom. And you will see a link pop up on the live chat for Rumble Wallet. Now, we're going to take a quick break. Again, the headlines today: Trump's Bunker-Ballroom, the Davos Posse, people like Marco Rubio and the Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, Howard Lutnick, leading the largest U.S. envoy ever to Davos, Switzerland. We're going to be discussing that. Ideological Subversion, a critical piece by Michael O'Fallon, which we'll start off with when we come back, and the Insurrection Act, among other things that we are going to discuss today on the Shannon Joy Show. So quick break, then we're going to come back, say hello to all of you on the live chat. If you are chatting on Twitter or Substack or YouTube or Facebook, make sure to pop those up. Annie's going to be taking a look at those platforms, and we'll be grabbing some of your comments as well so that I can see them. But of course, we're going to go right to that Rumble chat as well. So keep it tuned right here, guys. We will be back in a moment to dive into all of this and more today on the Shannon Joy Show. I am so proud to be working with Peter Schiff and Schiff Gold in 2026. There is no one that I would trust more to send this audience to in terms of a metals strategy. whether it's your gold and silver physically that you purchase and keep in your home or in a safety deposit box, gold and silver in an IRA, which you can do through Shift Gold, or even investing in gold mining stocks, which Peter Schiff and his team can also help you with. It is time to get that metals strategy in place. Right now, silver and gold are soaring. Silver is approaching $85 an ounce, while gold is up over $45 an ounce. And people don't see this stopping anytime soon. I know it seems expensive to you, but I don't know that there is a cap to this in the near future. So you can get started now. I want to encourage you guys right now to go to shiftgold.com/joy. That is shiftgold.com/joy. Everything that you need, Peter's analysis, market reports, research reports. You can get plugged into his investment services, physical gold and silver, which we're going to be talking about this month, and also protecting your retirement with a gold or silver IRA. It's all right there at your fingertips on my page, shiftgold.com/joy. Just want to tell you a little bit about my financial advisor. He's been with me for over 15 years, Don Polano of PCM and Associates. As you all know, my philosophy on investing is all of the above. So you know I'm hugely bullish on gold and silver, physical gold and silver, and also the gold and silver IRA. I also love real estate, which I can't get into right now because it's too overpriced. So that's kind of a bummer. But I also have money in the stock market, the good old traditional stock market. Now, right now, I am not in tech stocks at all whatsoever. I have very, very boring stocks and some international. And this is what I love about Don Polano is that he knows, he respects my belief system. He shares my belief system. And for what I do have in the stock market, in those investments for my retirement, he takes great care of me. He helps people all over the country and the world. And he is taking on clients, opening it up to all of you. So if you go to 1-800, if you call 1-800-536-1368, that is 1-800-536-1368. You can talk to Dom and get started. If you are unsure of the politics of your financial advisor, or if you're a little jittery about the stock market right now and you want to move some things around, he is your guy. You can also go to pcmpolano.com to learn more about him. That is pcmpolano.com. It is wonderful to have a financial analyst and advisor who shares my values, and that's Don Polano. Welcome back, everyone, to the Shannon Joy Show. So great to be with all of you today. We are going to take a look at Michael O'Fallon's piece in just a moment on ideological subversion from the woke right. Very important piece on what is being done to us. We are being color revolutionized here in the US, multi-billion-dollar apparatus deployed, propaganda, at We the People, and it is designed to break us apart and to break our minds. A great piece from Michael that we're going to look at in just a moment, but I do want to say hello to all of you. CM 1968, as I mentioned on the Rumble live chat, saying hello, the very first chatter of the day. So Trump's supposed ballroom is instead going to be a bunker. Not surprising, given the fact that a big part of Americans are fed up with the level of insanity, from the illegal land grabs to the ICE atrocities. I agree with you, CM 1968. And We Are All Dead came in right after. It's not a bunker, it's a data center. We are all dead. You are absolutely right. As best I can tell, it might be a little bit of both. But I think the more important aspect of this is the data center or data hub. And we have a great piece that we are going to look at right after the O'Fallon piece on what is going down under with Donald Trump's bunker, what's going underneath the ballroom. Buckle up, because the Dre dossier did a deep dive and she has all of the receipts. I think it's ludicrous for anyone to assume that what is happening there is about a ballroom. In fact, Catherine Austin Fitts, I mean, she nailed it. The day it was announced, Catherine Austin Fitts, I think she was on the show with me, And she said that's not a ballroom. There's no way that's a ballroom. And I think that she's going to be proven correct. We're going to look at that today. Future Ez is with us on the live chat. Good morning, everyone. CJP Rumble is with us. Zen Woman is with us. And yes, LT Oracle of Truth. Hey, y'all, is it cold enough for you? It is so cold up here in New York. In fact, CJP Rumble, it's so cold that you have to break the smoke off of your chimney. It's so cold you have to open the fridge to heat the house, says CJP Rumble. It is so cold that the fish were jumping out of the ice holes and straight into the frying pan. You are too funny. I love it, CJP Rumble. It's so cold that Shannon is 7 minutes late. I was actually 15 minutes late. Katie on Substack, colder than a witch's tit, hey? A Midwestern doctor is saying that not wearing a bra is good for your health. Maybe your witch's tits will show. Okay. My kids are mortified. I say it all the time. In fact, my son Ted now says it to his friends, and they're like, what is wrong with you? He's only 14, but he thinks it's hilarious. I don't know where I got that from. Where did that saying come from? I don't know. But it is colder than a witch's tit up here in New York State. I'm just saying it. We have Bill Benz on the live chat. Hey, Bill, it's great to see you. Elijah's return. Great to see you. I love seeing new faces. If you are brand new and you're watching for the first time on Rumble, it helps us if you give us a thumbs up or join that live chat and say hello, because I love saying hello to new chatters. Hey, Mod Trend, great to see you. Yeah, Elijah's return has this to say. People have to start getting a grip. 1, Trump won't be leaving office. And 2, Trump will be the last US president. I will tell you, that wouldn't surprise me. Everything is up in the air. The checkerboard is tossed. The left and the right are working together to destabilize the United States of America. They are moving us into a new techno-fascist world order. As I speak to you today, all of the pieces of the puzzle are being put in place, and Trump is a central part of deploying that here in the US. It's tragic. I'm so sorry to my friends on the right, those of you who voted for him and thought you were going to get a new, revitalized, sovereign United States of America that was, quote unquote, America first. You're not going to get that. And so now I don't know what's going to happen. If Trump loses if people begin to figure Trump out and just ignore him and not really pay attention to what he's doing, then they will try to bring someone else in. So there is always an exit stage left or right for every political figure in the theater that is politics in the United States of America. They don't all, stay in place forever. But if it's working and they're able to establish a presidential quasi dictatorship and a new hemisphere of the West, right? American Union. And Trump is able to establish that for the New World Order, the people who handle him, well, then maybe they'll keep him in. Who knows how that's going to work out? But we, the people here from the bottom up, it's our job to resist this. No matter what type of apparatus they try to set up around us, we can still have freedom, we can still have sovereignty, and we can push back. And that's going to be our mission here in the United States of America, probably for the next decade or so. All right. So yeah, Zen Woman, my mom used to say that. So funny. LT Oracle of Truth, both Trump and Kamala said that their voters, when campaigning, wouldn't have to vote again if they got elected. Mary New says no to color revolution. Strategically speaking, for our own safety, since we can play ping pong too, we should all en masse register for whatever party is going to dominate the next term. No red, no blue. From my perspective, I think that elections in general and democracy in general is pretty much over. And it's because of 2 reasons. The first being that they only give us false choices. So the left and the right are on the same team. So every time we vote left or right, we're really getting the same uniparty, technocratic fascists, no matter what we do. So because we only have false choices at the federal level, I don't see a point in voting at the federal level. That's not to say that you can't vote at the local level or even at the state level, perhaps, depending on how much you trust the voting systems in your own state or town or village. But at this point, in terms of federal elections and what is happening nationally, as you all know, I am boycotting the 2026 elections and probably elections federally in the foreseeable future. The other reason is I do believe that many of the voting machines are completely rigged and compromised. So electronic voting, in my opinion, cannot be trusted. And so if they continue with electronic voting and it's being run by Dominion voting companies and that type of thing, I just don't think that you can trust these elections. So we have to find a way outside of electoral politics to secure our liberty and our sovereignty in the 21st century. Now, that scares some people because we've been propagandized to believe that the only way to protect our sovereignty and our rights and our freedoms is to join one of the political cults and then vote for them forever, hoping that they're going to do something to expand freedom, free markets, and sovereignty for individuals in the United States. That's a lie. It's a bill of goods. And so, ripping that Band-Aid off is very painful for people on the right and the left. But once you do, you begin to realize that the framers of our Constitution and the founders of our country, the people who wrote the Constitution and revolted against the global power structure of the world, the British Empire, a couple hundred years ago, they didn't have elections. They didn't have quote unquote democracy. They didn't have two factions warring. They didn't have Democrats and Republicans. And somehow they were able to secure liberty without all of those things. There wasn't a court system set up. There was no Supreme Court of the United States of America. They didn't have, any of, the direction from the Constitution that we now enjoy. So of course we can establish liberty and freedom for ourselves and our children. We just have to figure out different ways to do it. And that's what we do every day here in the Shannon Joy Show. CJP Rumble, emancipate yourself from the political Band-Aid. It feels so nice. It does. Emancipation feels so good. You are so free. And I emancipated about 10 years ago, and I want to encourage all of you to do so as well. That doesn't mean that you isolate and become apathetic. It means that you simply don't participate in the fraudulent elections of left versus right. And you open up your mind to resist in other ways. And I'm loving, Marjorie Taylor Greene is talking about tax emancipation and tax revolts. I'll tell you what, if 100,000 American citizens figured out a way to legally put away their taxes in escrow and hold them until the government gets its act together, that would be brilliant. I mean, that would be a death blow to at least the narrative that is in place today. So I love all of it. This is why we love Leslie Manookian, and we cannot wait to talk to Leslie later this week or early next week about what she is planning. She is, again, one of the most effective local organizers and agitators out there, and she's doing a phenomenal job, and she has a lot of actions. I mean, these are shows when you get like boom, 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 bullet points, like do this, do that, do this, do that, all kinds of ways to organize and activate for freedom. We just don't pay attention to them because we're paying attention to people like Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson and Donald Trump and Kamala Harris and Joe Biden, the circus sideshow. It's a big, big distraction. So let's talk about this, the two-party political apparatus, the uniparty, the unibrow, the Hegelian dialectic, the woke left and the woke right, in terms of this piece by Michael O'Phelan that is linked in the show notes of the Shannon Joy Show on ideological subversion. Now, in this piece, as you know, last week we talked about Candace Owens and the new theme that she's pushing out there, that there is no reality. Reality doesn't exist in the way that we perceive it. Charlie Kirk is a time traveler who went through portals, who might be involved with the aliens, and she's ruminating on this. She's obsessing over this. There were multiple videos that were pushed out last week. People like to cast Candace Owens as a lunatic. I don't think she's a lunatic. I think she's just a gal who's taken a paycheck. She's an actress and she has been given her script. And so she is engaging in the fake fight against the Daily Wires and the Blazes and the people in the traditional conservative right over what happened with Charlie Kirk and his assassination. As you know, on this program, we've avoided that because I think it's a psyop. I think it's a distraction, and it's designed to destabilize you and also your thinking. There is very real psychological abuse happening in this country, and psychological and ideological subversion. And they use highly platformed individuals. We saw this type of rhetoric from Elon Musk. We saw it from Joe Rogan. We've seen it from Candace Owens. We've seen it from Alex Jones and even people like Glenn Beck. This kind of distortion of reality. We don't even know what's real anymore. We can't discern what is real. And now, because of AI and all of the fakeness out there, it is kind of shaking the ground beneath us. And if you can't trust what happened to Charlie Kirk, well, then you can't trust what happened, during the Holocaust, or you can't trust what was written in the Bible. I mean, they really attack the foundations of so many people's beliefs by injecting the entirety of society with absolute chaos. And yeah, CJP Rumble, Erica had to go dark. Too many truths were coming out about her. Yeah, the Erica Kirk thing, you haven't seen a lot from her. People are waking up to this. And I think this is why the news cycles are accelerating. They're getting darker and darker and more dystopian, vile and degenerate. Again, over the weekend, we saw the Tate brothers. We saw Nick Fuentes. We saw Kanye West, who his new song is out called Hail Hitler. This is to destabilize what people know about what happened during the Holocaust, which was real and happened. There were firsthand. I don't even want to go into defending this. I mean, it's outrageous. It's outrageous. Adolf Hitler was a vile, vile character and a vile monster. And the apparatus of the German government absolutely, absolutely systematically killed millions upon millions, not just Jews, but any other type, even German citizens who were not deemed to be useful for their socialistic, their socialistic society. So there is so much evidence out there. It's absolutely absurd. But now they're shaking people, right? Well, wait a second. And this is why they played the song Hail Hitler. This is why they spent probably $1 billion pushing out all of the videos and tweeting and retweeting this. This is why you have the gathering of all of these morons that are not cool. And I don't think it's going to work. I don't think it's going to work. But this is what Michael O'Fallon had to say about this. And let's get into this piece, because we have to protect our minds. Very good writing on this, by the way. Rape of the Mind is a book. I forget the author's name. Michael Yon recommended it to me. I've gone through good portions of it. It's excellent, and it's excellent reading in the tactics and the techniques of essentially raping your mind and making it so that you don't trust your own observations. You don't trust your own eyes, your own ears. You essentially believe in nothing because you can't believe anything. It's very dark, very dark. It's demonic. And the most difficult part of this for me recently, the demonic nature of this, is that so many of the people pushing this out, people like Nick Fuentes, claim to be Christians. They claim to be Christian nationalists. They are influencing evangelical Christians and the people that are platforming them, right? Candace Owens, I can't tell you how many of the women I go to Bible study with, how many of the women I know are committed, Bible-believing Christians, listen to Candace Owens every day. Candace Owens has platformed Nick Fuentes. Candace Owens has platformed the Tate brothers. They are indicted on multiple counts of rapes and child sex trafficking. They're vile, vile, horrifying people. Megyn Kelly has platformed some of these people. Tucker Carlson has platformed Nick Fuentes and the Tates. These are the so-called new America First Christian nationalists. All of this is wrapped up in Christianity, and it's been frankly torturous for me to watch. It's horrifying, and it's demonic, and it's a terrible bastardization of Christianity. Terrible, terrible bastardization. And so many preachers are in on this, which Michael O'Fallon addresses here. His handle on Twitter is Sov Michael, so it's at SOVMICHAEL. His platform is Sovereign Nations, and his tweet is linked in the show notes of the Shannon Joy Show so that you guys can pull this up. And it's on ideological subversion regarding Candace Owens and her recent rants on how reality doesn't exist. Charlie Kirk is a time traveler and he's going through portals, time and space. Okay. They peddle in aliens as well. But this is what he wrote on January 15th. Candace Owens, together with her colleagues from the woke right, many I just mentioned to you, has been involved in attempts to purposed to move the United States closer to the third phase of ideological subversion. So it's not just on the right, though. We're seeing, in Minnesota, this would play into what we're seeing here. And even the declaration of, the Trump invoking the Insurrection Act, okay, would play into this as well. He goes on to define ideological subversion. It's also referred to as active measures, psychological warfare, or cognitive warfare. And in Rape of the Mind, they honed these techniques during wartime and then brought them to the United States of America and engaged in secret studies and secret experiments. Many people know about, MK Ultra and all of those types of things. I think some of that plays into this, but it's a strategic process used by one power to covertly or overtly influence and ultimately undermine the core beliefs, values, and social order of a target society or nation. And they've done this during color revolutions. The primary objective of ideological subversion, according to Michael O'Fallon, is to distort the target population's perception of reality to an extent where they can no longer make rational decisions in their own interest, leading to societal fracture and susceptibility to external influence or control. Now, I saw this just recently with the actions of ICE in the state of Minnesota. And, if you want to talk about, what we're seeing here, it is a woke left versus woke right type of situation. And even my own, I was talking to my husband, he's a normie, devastatingly handsome, about what was happening in ICE. And clearly, because of his search, he's on, social media. I'm on social media. He has a avatar. He has a profile, a demographic, qualitative, quantitative profile of, who he is. He is probably right leaning. He really dislikes the left and the woke left and, those types of entities, but he's not super political like I am. But clearly, his profile was targeted with all of the messaging that would justify all of the actions taken by ICE. So he was seeing videos of protesters, leftist protesters being violent and horrifying and impeding this and that and generally terrible on his feed. He wasn't seeing the videos of, ICE acting unconstitutionally, illegally, and brutally with U.S. citizens. So he didn't see those narratives. I, on the other hand, did because I'm outside of the two-party political paradigm and I have systems set up so that I can get both sides of the story. So it was interesting. In our first few conversations, he was like, how can you not defend ICE? All of these things. And we talked about it, but very clearly, they are deploying propaganda to both the left and the right. The purpose of that is to completely divide us and also to get us to question everything that we see or not even trust the things that we see. So in this piece, Michael O'Fallon goes on. Again, the purpose of ideological subversion is to distort a target population's perception of reality to the extent where they can no longer make rational decisions in their own interest and leads to societal fracture. This is why you hate your neighbor if they put a sign, with a Democrat's name on in their lawn. This is why they hate you if you put a sign with a Republican name on it in your lawn. This is why you can't have Thanksgiving dinner with Uncle Ralph because he's going to spout off about politics and you hate each other now because you've been conditioned through social media and through platformed influencers and media outlets left and right to fear and loathe your neighbor and your family member. And this is what we need to fight against. So he goes on, Candace Owens and her reflexive influencer colleagues and a multitude of woke right Christian nationalist pastors, okay, who are bastardizing scripture and committing blasphemy, in my opinion, are using their past positive reputations as a form of operational protection as they introduce radical propaganda, Hail Hitler, Nick Fuentes, right? And also Charlie Kirk is a time traveler and traveling through space and time through other dimensions and portals, okay? They're just ripping the rug out from, we now, if you're a woke right Christian nationalists, you now have to open your mind up to the idea that Hail Hitler is somehow a legitimate idea because Candace Owens told you to do so. And I'm not sure that she is. She's spoken positively about Kanye West, who she's normalized and platformed Kanye West. He's now the guy who's putting out Hail Hitler. And she has also spoken positively, obviously, about Nick Fuentes, who loves him some Hail Hitler. And also she's platformed multiple times both the Tate brothers, Andrew and Tristan Tate, who are also in that video promoting Hail Hitler. Okay. And also just degenerate. I mean, they have just a degenerate, vile, demonic kind of lifestyle you see in the videos. Horrifying, horrifying. But all these fellows are now platformed. They're legitimate on the Christian right because Candace Owens said so, and Alex Jones said so, and Tucker Carlson said so, and Russell Brand said so. And so all of these guys are pushing them out, and then you're not hearing anything from The Blaze or Fox News or the Daily Wire, other than, the debate over whether or not you can criticize Israel. Okay, so this is what they're doing. So what they're doing is they're using past positive reputations as a form of operational protection as they introduce radical propaganda that is intended to sow doubt, destabilize cognitive functionings and foundations, and incite conflict among the populations of the United States during this season of dialectical political warfare. By the way, I have looked into, I'm trying to contact Michael O'Fallon and see if he'll come on the SJ show for conversation, because I find this piece to be really interesting. He goes on, once a new piece of propaganda is introduced, other influencers propagate and talk about the new and radical concepts from Candace Owens or Nick Fuentes, Jeffrey Sachs, or any number of other revolution-minded, agitating propagandists active on the woke right, the Tate brothers being included. This is reflexivity, he calls it. What it is a constant social media feedback loop of fertile fallacies intended on creating a, quote, less than equilibrium state of affairs that is ripe for revolution. And you will see that on X or Twitter, Elon Musk has given favorable algorithms to many, many influencers, like some of the influencers Michael O'Fallon references here. You will see Mario Nawfal, for example, posting out, censorship didn't work. Look at these guys. They get to listen to Hail Hitler in Miami at a nightclub, and they're oh so cool. Like these losers and lamos. But you think that this is legitimate. You think that the Tate brothers actually have legitimate followings. You think that Nick Fuentes is actually an opinion shaper in the US because Tucker Carlson told you so. So this is the feedback loop. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? They make it happen. These are not organic people with organic followings or real ideas. They don't even believe the things that they're saying. They're taking the money and reading the scripts. And this is all intended to destabilize you and us. And this is happening on the left as well. Right now, the left is being traumatized, full-scale traumatized. I am certain that my neighbors, the same ones who cheered when I got arrested during 2020 for the crime of my mask slipping beneath my nose at a school board meeting, all right, they were perfectly fine with tyranny and quasi-fascism. They would have been perfectly happy if I was shipped off to a concentration camp or quarantine camp for not getting my vaccine or wearing my mask. These same neighbors, okay? Those of us who were on the receiving end of the tyranny at that time during COVID thought about those things. We were traumatized. We were terrorized. We became fearful. And because of that fear, so many in the medical freedom movement and so many conservatives went right back to the same guy who locked us down in the first place because they thought that Trump would be a hero, the antidote to the villain and the devil that they saw in Joe Biden. Well, today, what is happening with the left? They are being traumatized by the actions that are happening in ICE, by the declaration of the Insurrection Act, potentially by this president, the deployment of the military into blue states across the country. They are being psychologically abused by this administration, whether you agree with their politics or not. You cannot discount what they are feeling. This is going to set them up, the left, to elevate their own savior. And so whoever comes out of the left, whichever Democrat savior comes onto the scene to challenge Donald Trump and obliterate our freedoms even more and be even more brutal in his tactics, a good portion of those on the left will support that because they have been so frightened and traumatized by what was done to them in this latest round of ideological subversion. Do you see how they play us against each other? And so we're always looking for the bigger and badder bully to take out the last one. Meanwhile, those big bad bullies are working together and they're getting even more vicious and more vile and decrepit and degenerate as every day passes. As long as we, the people, continue to play in this loop. And this is why the only answer is to remove yourself. Is this making sense or am I going too far into this? Are you guys bored? I think this is an important topic, an important concept for people to understand. And I think that it's explained very well in this piece. So he goes on to say, he was talking about the less than equilibrium state of affairs that is ripe for revolution, right? They will be justifying and deploying the police state because we've become so conditioned and so fearful. He goes on. In this confused state, the target population, we the people, those of you who are conservative Republicans and also those of you who are liberal Democrats, right, who still believe in the Constitution, you are the target. We are the target. And they mean for us to hate each other and believe lies about each other and to think that we're more different than we are alike, when that is not the case. That is a lie. In this confused state, the target population no longer recognize what interests it should defend, nor how to defend them. Individuals become unable to distinguish truth from propaganda. And even when confronted with factual evidence, their reactions are shaped by pre-programmed ideological responses. Ideological subversion harnesses and redirects a nation's own internal dynamics, such as class, ethnic, and ideological divisions, and turns them into weapons against itself, much like the martial art of jiu-jitsu. This entire process, writes Michael O'Fallon, has been happening openly in society, in social media, using our nation's free speech and democratic systems, which makes it seem like a legitimate internal process and very difficult to identify as an external threat. But let there be no doubt, he writes in conclusion, this ideological subversion represents open warfare, as authentic as battles taking place in Venezuela or Iran, but it's unfolding in our own territory against we the people. The aim is to ignite an actual kinetic civil war between the woke left faction of the population, which is prepared to set the US ablaze, and the newly formed woke right faction that is eager to tear down the United States. And the woke left and the woke right, if you want an explainer there, I would define on the left. On the left, there are classically liberal left-leaning people. I've met them. They're wonderful. Many of them stood with me against the lockdowns of 2020. They exist. They're registered Democrats and they're not crazy. But the woke left is the LGBTQ XYZ crazies and BLM rioters and organizations that push that, the transhumanists. There's a huge faction of the woke left that is absolutely insane and taken over the party. Now, on the woke right, I would contend to you that it's MAGA and MAHA and America First, as led by people like Nick Fuentes and the Tate brothers, among others. And they have replaced, in many ways, the constitutional conservative right. You know, people who believe in the Constitution and liberty and freedom. There's a lot in common between a classical liberal and a constitutional conservative. But we've forgotten that and lost that because we've been led to believe that those people who share those values are something that they're not, right? Both of these movements would hold up virtue and truth and justice and believe in the Constitution and our Bill of Rights and the Declaration of Independence. They believe in natural rights and human dignity, free markets. They believe in faith and family. These are things that are good. And these are concepts shared by people who might be considered on the right or on the left. They are certainly not concepts that are shared by the fake and false movements that have been deployed against both of these factions in this country, in my opinion. And so our job is to resist that, is to declare independence and emancipate. This is why it's so important. This is why I continue to talk about the woke right and woke left. It's why I continue to talk about Donald Trump. I think that Trump and his brand might be one of the most substantial psyops ever deployed against the American people. And he plays a role for both factions, one as a savior for the right and as a villain and a demon and a devil for the left, but all moving us towards tyranny, full-scale global tyranny, if we let it. All right? So if you would like to link on this or grab the link, it is in the show notes of the Shannon Joy Show. It is on Ideological Subversion by Michael O'Fallon. And if you want more reading on this, I highly recommend Rape of the Mind. Would love to get some of your feedback on this and more. We're going to go to break, and when we come back, we are going to talk about the bunker or the data center. Fantastic piece by the Dre dossier, on what is really going down beneath the ballroom. Is it a bunker? Is it a data center? Fantastic piece here. Again, while we're all fighting, they're building the infrastructure of tyranny and ripping apart our society, our culture, our economy, and our ability to live as free humans in the United States of America. It's all very bad. And so while we're all fighting up in the top with all of the woke left and the woke right, they're building the infrastructure. And that infrastructure is apparently underneath the ballroom. Great piece that we're going to go through, among other things. We're also going to get some of your feedback. What did you think about this piece by Michael O'Fallon? If you have a comment, please push it up. We will have Annie take a look at Substack and Twitter to see if we have any comments there. And of course, I'm going to be watching the Rumble live chat as well. Questions or comments, we'll hit them quickly when we come back here on the Shannon Joy Show. I can't tell you how many Americans are now not trusting their food supply and our United States healthcare food system, because as you know, there are so many toxins that are being deployed through our food supply. And this is why so many Americans are now eating like their health depends on it. And that's because most disease does not start in your genes. It actually starts in your kitchen and in your gut. Our food supply has been hijacked. That's just the truth. From Roundup poison to mRNA animal injections, Big Ag and Big Pharma have strategically synced up to get people stuck on a subliminal medical loop. And the wellness company, they're no longer accepting a system where the health industry ignores food and the food industry ignores health. They have to work together. Meet Wellness Farms, a new way to fuel your body from a trusted brand who puts people before profits. So here we go. Hand selected USA small farmed beef boxes, where the beef goes from a pasture to a butcher, flash frozen, and then right to your door. Think old school meets modernized convenience from the Wellness Company. It is the purest. So, mRNA and vaccine free, grass fed, grass finished cattle raised on regenerative American farms, which is amazing. And these are family farms. And the animals are cared for in a way that restores the soil, protects ecosystems, and produces nutrient dense meat how nature intended. Each box is unique and it has unique cuts broken down by mineral and gut health focuses. No antibiotics, no hormones, just clean, honest, regeneratively raised food. We are thankful for, yeah, we do got the meats. We're so thankful for the Wellness Company and their support. Make sure that you always use the promo code MARY for any of your other purchases. But for today, make sure that you use Mary Farms to get $85 off your first beef box. I can't wait to try mine at 123.com/joy. Everything that you're going to need for preparation: generators, solar panels, Faraday products. If you want to disappear and protect yourself from the surveillance state, they have an entire line of amazing Faraday products called dark bags. They're always 10% off at the satellite phone store if you go to sat123.com/joy. That is sat123.com/joy. The satellite phone store has supported the Shannon Joy Show for many years. They are amazing partners, and let's help the companies that help keep the lights on here at the Shannon Joy Show. So if you are in the market for any of their products or services, make sure you use that promo code JOY and go to sat123.com/joy. That's sat123.com/joy. Welcome back, everyone, to the Shannon Joy Show. Very quickly, before we get to the Dre dossier and what's going on underneath the ballroom in Washington, D.C. We're going to hit that in just a moment. But I do want to give you another update. Peter Schiff, amazing sponsor of the Shannon Joy Show, and Schiff Gold, pushed this out, another update on precious metals. It's another Sunday night, he posted yesterday, where the most exciting action isn't on the football field, but in the precious metals market, with both gold and silver surging to new record highs. Of course, Bitcoin is moving too, just in the opposite direction, down nearly 3%. He goes on to say it is not too late to get your metals strategy in place. You can call the experts over at Schiff Gold today. And of course, I want to encourage all of you guys to head over to schiffgold.com/joy. That is schiffgold.com/joy. It's a clearinghouse for the Joy audience. There are a lot of different things that you can do there. Peter has one of the easiest systems to purchase physical gold and silver out there, and they always feature some of the lowest spot prices around. So you can purchase physical gold and silver through schiffgold.com/joy. There are also options for you to learn about using gold and silver and a gold and silver backed IRA to protect your retirement against all of the shenanigans coming our way. So many Americans are taking custody of their IRA or their 401k or their retirement. They don't trust the institutional investors anymore. They see the AI bubble for what it is. They see the Bitcoin bubbles and the Ponzi schemes, the inflation as far as the eye can see, and they want to hedge against that. And so many are using now self-directed IRAs, and many of them are backed by gold and silver. You can get information on that at schiffgold.com/joy as well. And then also using Peter and his team for investment. They have a whole host of international investments, even domestic, an entire portfolio that they can share with you if you are considering, if you're not quite comfortable with how things are going and you want another opinion, you can connect with them through my portal as well. It is schiffgold.com/joy. That is schiffgold.com/joy. Make sure you use that URL because this is how Peter and the team over there knows that we sent you. And I wouldn't trust anyone more than Peter Schiff. I'm so thrilled that we are working together and collaborating for sponsorship because I just feel so comfortable sending all of you to him. And as you know, Peter joins us on the SJ Show every month. He was just with us last week, blockbuster interview. Learned so much from him. We're going to feature him next month as well as all of the economic turmoil continues to roll forward. So that is schiffgold.com/joy. And a huge thank you to Peter Schiff and the team. So digging down deep in Washington, D.C., they tell us it's a ballroom. But there's been a lot of chatter out there regarding what it actually is. This is a piece from the Dre dossier, which was excellent. I mentioned it last week on the Shannon Joy show, and we're going to get into the details of what is really going on. The reason I like this piece is that it is super cited. All of the sources are cited, the corporate filings and contract data, government releases and official statements. Everything is hyperlinked and available in this piece. She goes over defense, intelligence, and infrastructure contracts, so you can read them yourself, the data center and cloud infrastructure that they're looking to build, and information and reporting on the White House East Wing demolition and ballroom donors. So everything is right here, and we're going to overview this piece in just a moment, but this is the definitive source. And after reading this and watching her video on this, I am fully convinced this is not about a ballroom. They might say it's a ballroom. This is a much, much bigger deal, and you are not getting the full story. There's a lot of propaganda out there. And if you don't believe, before we get to this, the commentary in the last segment on the woke right and the woke left and how our own government is waging full-scale psychological warfare against we the people using propaganda and influencers. If you don't believe me, if you don't believe that what is going on in Minnesota and what is going on with ICE and what is happening with Trump seeking to invoke the Insurrection Act, this is all a psychological operation using influencers. And this piece from the Washington Post substantiates what I have been telling you for so many years. Once again, how much evidence do you need? And here's the headline from last week. ICE is spending $8 million on deals with pro-ICE influencers to push its propaganda online. So when you see Nick Fuentes or your favorite right-wing influencer saying, yeah, look at this video, it's so terrible, everything that ICE is doing is justified, you just need to imagine that they might be cashing a cool $10,000 check in order to tweet about that or talk to you about that, and they're not telling you. This is according to an internal document obtained by the Washington Post. Immigration, Customs, and Enforcement, ICE, is carving out $8 million from its $100 million one-year wartime recruitment strategy to spread around in deals with pro-ICE influencers. The document calls for spending at least $8 million on deals with online influencers, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, you name it, whose followers are largely Gen Z and millennials who were in military families, fitness, and tactical lifestyle enthusiasm communities. So these are the demographics. So if you are part of a military family, you are a target. If you like the tactical lifestyle, fitness kind of military genre, you are a target. Officials will focus on former agents, veterans, and pro-ICE creators who will be expected to host live streams, attend events, and post short and long form videos and other content on Facebook, Instagram, Rumble, X, and YouTube. Blogs, Substack newsletter, and Threads accounts would also be targeted for more niche communities per the document. The objective, according to the document, is to obviously build trust and justify any of the actions deployed by ICE through what they call authentic Peer-to-peer messaging. Well, if you're paying for it and the person delivering the message is not disclosing that the government is paying them to say it, it is not authentic. They want to normalize and humanize careers at ICE through storytelling and lived experiences. How many of the people squawking at you last week defending ICE, how many of them were paid? You should ask them that. In the messages, in the notes, when you can comment on their videos, are you being paid for this? Because a lot of money is being passed around. The document says that it expects more than 5,000 applicants will come through the influencer program, costing ICE about $1,500 per application. Don't doubt me. Don't doubt me. How many times have I had to cover these stories? It's out there. The contracts are out there. You can find it. LT Oracle of Truth, I see you. Yeah, it's insane. Andrew Tate supposedly has 10 million followers on Twitter. Andrew Tate was gifted 10 million followers on Twitter by Elon Musk, who is paying him and who promoted him. The last we knew, there was a contract between Andrew Tate and Elon Musk. So if you wonder why people like Fuentes and Tate have platforms, it's because they are given the platforms and then paid to propagandize you using those platforms. Those platforms are not free for them. Okay? And it's very easy. You can become very rich and we'll pay you a lot of money if you lie to your followers and propagandize them for us. And that's what they're doing. It's very simple. It is very simple. And we have tons of evidence regarding this. Okay? Says Woody, ICE is setting the stage for being okay with warrantless intrusions into our privacy. Very important point, Fez Woody. You're absolutely right. This is why we featured last week on the SJ show multiple examples of ICE going after, brutalizing, and traumatizing and abusing United States citizens, engaging in illegal checks and searches of United States citizens. And here we have the right cheering it on. That's the goal. And this stuff is going on the left as well. I would assume that there are an enormous amount of feds embedded within the ICE protests. Okay, for those people who are protesting ICE in Minnesota, be peaceful. That's all I can tell you, and be on the lookout for feds who will try to turn this into something violent. So this is let's go. Speaking of things, are not as they seem. Right? Everything is so fake, including Donald Trump's ballroom. This was a piece written, very good piece. It's a Substack, about 8 pages long and beautifully sourced on the Dre dossier. And there's also a companion video that was very good. I want to encourage you guys to watch it, read it, and push it out to everyone you know. She goes in with the original questioning of the ballroom. It was kind of a strange thing. Like, why are you dumping all this money into a ballroom? And, this is how she begins this piece. When Trump announced a $300 or $300 million ballroom at the White House, something went off inside my brain. The pattern recognition, I love that she acknowledges that. This is what independent researchers do. When you're not embedded in the left versus right, psyop, it frees your mind, okay? And the pattern recognition can set in. She goes on, the pattern recognition part started tingling. 90,000 square feet, $300 million, underground construction at a secure government facility. I had heard about something like that. Something with those exact specifications, that scale, and that price point. So this was how she initially began to question the narrative coming from the White House. She had seen those numbers, 300 million, 90,000 square feet, right? And it triggered something. She went back and she took a look, and it took her a minute to place it, but she remembered Oracle's underground data centers in Jerusalem. Built in 2021 during the height of COVID lockdowns and the rollout of Operation Warp Speed and the killer shots. On the DL, they were building in Israel a bunker. It was 9 stories into bedrock, designed to survive missile strikes, built to house AI systems that make life and death decisions in real time. 90,000 square feet, $319 million, nearly identical specs to what Trump just announced. And many of those operations being deployed, when you look at the horrifying drone operations, we'll talk to Patrick Wood about this tomorrow, because this rolls into technocracy. But waging war on your own citizens using drones and drone strikes, something that we should all be very, very concerned about. And a lot of those operations could be deployed from these types of underground bunkers. So she went in and started digging. She said, first, I learned about those Jerusalem bunkers months earlier when researching Larry Ellison's relationship with Israel and Oracle's involvement in the war on Gaza. The facilities, she writes, weren't typical corporate server farms. They are what built what's called, they were built for what is called data sovereignty. Remember that term. And it's a physical location where Israel's most sensitive military and intelligence data could exist under complete governmental control, protected from both digital and physical attacks. When you're running classified military operations and operating AI systems in active conflict, you can't have that infrastructure vulnerable to destruction. So they built it 9 stories down into solid bedrock, 160 feet below the surface, completely invisible to satellites. And that's what they did. She filed that information away for a time, but then brought it back and began digging into what's going on beneath the ballroom under this administration. And the receipts that she brings are pretty impressive and pretty dystopian, right? This is a clandestine effort. This is done, the way that they're doing this is not through typical governmental channels. This is a project that is entirely privately funded, which we'll get into in a moment. And she looks at all the different elements of this. And I think that her conclusion is absolutely spot on. This has nothing to do with the ballroom. It has to do with the bunker and also a massive, massive data center. So the first thing that she looked at was the contractor. And this was interesting. I really love how she conducts her research because it's elegant to read and makes a lot of sense. She uses common sense and pattern recognition, that type of thing, to come to very logical conclusions. And she starts with the contractor. So the lead contractor for this project is a company called Clark Construction. So she went to their website to see what they normally build, right? So remember, this is for a ballroom, right? And their critical facilities portfolio was what immediately jumped out to her and caught her attention. The National Geospatial Intelligence Agency's campus, CISA, Cybersecurity Headquarters. Remember, CISA was the organization that conducted all of the surveillance and the censorship against the medical freedom community. It was put in place by Donald Trump during his administration and then weaponized by Joe Biden during his administration. This is lost to the medical freedom people, okay, because they are so far up Donald Trump's rear end, hoping that he's their savior, that they can't understand that, this organization. But anyway, Clark Construction was one of the contractors for CISA and their cybersecurity headquarters. CENTCOM headquarters at MacDill Air Force Base, among others. So she goes on. These are not ordinary buildings. These are top secret intelligence campuses and military command centers. So these guys are the guys that are contracted with to build the ballroom, okay? Building classified data centers for clients they legally cannot name. So this is all done in a super clandestine way, probably lots of non-disclosures and all of the things. And she says that this is actually Clark Construction's specialty, and they have the contractual mechanisms to hide what they're building. They hold a NAVFAC contract with a $950 million ceiling where the total value is public, but individual task orders can be classified, which means you can effectively hide the true cost and scope of specific projects. And that's what the way that they're sent up. So these are the people building the ballroom. Okay. Doesn't sound like a ballroom to me. She goes on to give more evidence. The firing. Now, on December 4th, something happened that made the picture even clearer. Trump fired his original architect. So James McCreary was the architect, and he used to he designs beautiful churches and the Supreme Court gift shop, among other things. He was replaced on December 4th by a fellow named Shalom Baranis. And when she looked into Baranis and his background, she understood immediately what had changed. After September 11th, when the Pentagon needed to be rebuilt and hardened against future attacks, they hired Shalom Baranis. This man designed the Pentagon's post 9/11 hardening project, the secure wedges, the SCIFs, and the bomb-resistant architecture, among other things. In addition, the data centers that are being built need something else, massive amounts of power. So she looked at this guy, Shalom Baranis, and found that his entire portfolio is federal facilities requiring classified spaces and hardened infrastructure. This guy doesn't build ballrooms. He builds bunkers and data centers, right? And of course, as you know, data centers need a ton of power. So then she went in and looked into the power. What's been going on in Washington, D.C.? How are they going to get all this power? Where are they going to get all of this power? She goes in and she looks to, what's been happening and points to a moment in August and September of 2025. This was just weeks after Trump announced the ballroom in July. So a company named Pepco filed emergency requests for major infrastructure work near the East Wing. They're not making incremental improvements, she writes here on the Dre dossier, which is linked in the show notes of the Shannon Joy Show. They're replacing 45-year-old power feeders and increasing power capacity in this area by 5 times 500%. Okay? What makes this absurd is that the downtown DC office occupancy has been declining since COVID. Buildings are sitting half empty. Commercial real estate demand has shrunk, and power demand in the area should be flat or declining. But ever since Trump's announced ballroom in July, by August, emergency filings go to increase power capacity by 500%. Downtown DC is apparently empty, but apparently we need 5 times the power for a dance floor and a ballroom. Does not make any sense. During the same period in time, writes Dre in her dossier, DC Water increased capital spending by $300 million with a specific focus on the Federal Triangle area. The Washington Aqueduct, run by the Army Corps of Engineers, issued warnings that data centers are planning to use the Potomac River water for cooling. So they are explicitly acknowledging that data center development is driving new infrastructure demands. The GSA Central Heating and Cooling Plant completed upgrades, including industrial scale cooling towers and magnetic bearing chillers designed for cooling infrastructure that generates tremendous heat. So you have the contractor, you have the new lead contractor, you have the power grid, and now the donor list. This is really interesting. Okay, we are making the case, and I think it's pretty obvious at this point, that Trump's ballroom is not a ballroom at all. It is a cover story for a DC bunker / massive data center and command center. This is a military apparatus being built, and it's all private. Okay, here's the kicker. The money. This project is being privately funded. There was a lot of that, going around the conservative media. Oh, he is so good with money. And we're cutting so much government spending and we're going private. And look how brilliant Trump is. He is able to get all of these big billionaires to give away their money to build his ballroom. BS. It's complete BS. This project is being privately funded, which means no congressional appropriations, no budget hearings, no public scrutiny. We have a partial donor list, though most dollar amounts have already remained undisclosed. And when Dre started going through the list, she realized that she was looking at it completely wrong, that she shouldn't be looking at the dollar amounts. She should be looking at what the companies actually do. Carrier Corporation is one of the donors. They're donating HVAC systems. There's no such thing as a free lunch, by the way. Okay. Anytime you see a donation from a company, it means that they're getting into bed with the government and they're doing something nefarious, probably to screw you. So Carrier Corporation, I believe actually they're out of Syracuse, New York. So they're from my neck of the woods. They're donating HVAC systems. But Carrier also has a division called Carrier Quantum Leap, and their data center solutions offering comprehensive energy efficient solutions for center thermal management. Are they donating a basic ballroom AC system or specialized data center cooling infrastructure? She asks. Paolo Tiramini from Boxable is also on the list. Boxable makes foldable prefab buildings marketed for disaster relief. But they also sent over 150 units to Guantanamo Bay, and they work on Class 5 military installations. Their units come pre-installed with Faraday caging, electromagnetic shielding needed for SCIFs, and Oracle's own documentation for their Jerusalem facility describes using modular construction techniques for rapid deployment underground. Then there's Caterpillar, which makes industrial generators, providing over 100 megawatts of backup power. Union Pacific, who owns 14,000 miles of classified fiber optic cables, serving as the Department of Defense's secure telecommunications backbone. Microsoft, Amazon, Google, Palantir, Booz Allen Hamilton, which builds, of course, classified networks for intelligence agencies, and Blackstone, installing over 20 megawatts of backup power infrastructure. Okay. You know who's not on the list? Versace, Hermes, Tiffany, Steinway, Baccarat, Crystal, right? The normal luxury brands that you would see involved in building a ballroom. This is not a ballroom. What do you think about that? I mean, what's very disturbing here is the secretive nature of it and the fact that it's private. It's like a private military installation being built underneath the ballroom in Washington, D.C., and will probably be used to just deploy military actions and operations against we the people. It's just insane. It is just insane. She goes on to say that what she sees happening here is not just like a backup infrastructure. It's an actual, erection of a governmental entity or military entity, but it's all being done privately. This demands oversight. This is pretty outrageous. She goes on, when infrastructure is part of the executive office of the president, it can be classified under executive privilege. So we just see expanded destruction of transparency, rule of law, the truth. We see a continued ripping apart of our Constitution, the way our government is supposed to work, and it's all wrapped up in this ballroom. Really great piece. Thank you to Dre Dossier. I told you guys, I asked you last week if you wanted me to go into the ballroom. You guys said that you did, so we did. But what do you think about that? I want to hear from all of you. We are wrapping up the Shannon Joy show. It's been great to be with all of you today, and we can get some of your comments on this tomorrow. I see you, Fez Woody, and Be My Valentine. Yeah, all the rich are building bunkers because they refuse to share the planet with the rest of us. They always resort to the bunkers, don't they? And apparently, we're getting a bunker in Washington, D.C. We're going to keep an eye on this story, among other stories, trying to get the truth every day amidst the propaganda, not left, not right, just the truth, straight up, no chaser, every day here on the SJ Show. And as you know, we have a big, big week of phenomenal guests. Tomorrow, Patrick Wood joins us. On Wednesday, Tom Renz. And I'm working on Leslie Manukian for Thursday. And we're going to continue to bring these great voices to all of you every day. Huge thank you to the beautiful Ina Zani Cyrus for producing the Shannon Joy Show so brilliantly as she does every day. For those of you who support me on Substack and on Rumble, I so appreciate you. Make sure that you continue to give us those likes, those thumbs ups, and the shares. And of course, to all of the SJ sponsors, Satellite Phone Store, Peter Schiff over at Schiff Gold, and of course, Don Plano, PCM and Associates. We so appreciate all of you. Strident conservative, I see you. All right. Well, let's talk about all this tomorrow. We will open up the live chat first thing tomorrow on the SJ Show before we bring in Patrick Wood. I hope you all have a wonderful day. We'll be back tomorrow to do it all again right here on the Shannon Joy Show.